Ticket. No tickets for you. Still got half an hour. So I'm just going to plug this in with my charger for now. And then I'll wire it in once it's confirmed to work. Because that's the... Is it supposed to light up? Did it light up? I have no idea. I'm guessing it should light up. Do these things light up? And if you're not following Glendon, it is Glendon's birthday, so you definitely should follow him. But he's going to start streaming, so support him on his streaming career. And go give Glendon a follow. Did you get anything on Klee Day? I did not, actually. I'm kind of tapped out on buying stuff for a long time because I bought this for whatever random reason. I'm trying to work through the parts I have. That's kind of the... I always see these new printer builds and I want to just build the newest and greatest thing, but I have all of these printer parts. And I'm really going to focus on what I have. A new promo? Oh god. New promo. Everyone who orders today gets a free 3D printed hot sauce wall mount. Oh, awesome. All right. Well, there you go. The deal today. Yeah, when is my thing coming? You should let me know. You have the tracking. Let me know when it's coming. You have to move it. Oh, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're totally right. I'm guessing it's this red jumper. Let me just take it off. See if that works. No. Let me look with a manual. That's useful. It's supposed to be simple. Simple. I could just wire it up and try that, but parts coming in faster than you build. Yeah. Honestly, I just buy parts occasionally. Like, oh, that hot end looks like it'll be useful in the future. And that's kind of an issue. You know why it's an issue, though? I tend to buy stuff without a plan. And then that stuff kind of sits in boxes, and I'll put it over there. I've probably bought stuff for projects that I plan on doing, but then I put the stuff away so I don't remember it, and then it's just sitting there doing nothing. So, when the new studio build comes around, like I said before, the big consideration is organization, getting all of these random things kind of put into groups and collections to make sure that, hey, if it's a control board, it's gonna be in the control board section. We're not gonna put in a random bin. No, it's going right in the control board. Magic cards. Yeah. All right, user manual. Let's see. It's gotta figure out how to oh, I hate this browser. Power supply. When using USB-C port, you will need to insert the jumper in J8. Oh. Is it because it's not 5 volts? So it's already in there by default. Hey, Westry, how's it going? Late for you. How are you doing? Hopefully you're doing all right. And Steve Bills is in chat. Welcome. I can try a... Well, let me just plug it in down here and see if it works at all. Because I get the jumper in. It's there by default, which can be dangerous, but I'm also going to plug in the antenna for the internet, because historically, Big Tree Tech products don't have the best Wi-Fi. Hanging in there? You're up late, want to say hi? Well, nice to see you. Oh, Steve. You want to see something interesting? Let me plug this in. Maybe you would know. And no lights. Oh, I got a light. All right, cool. Yeah, it was just the power supply or the cable I was using. It was probably not the best for it. Okay, take a look at this. I bought this Pico, Big Tree Tech Pico, and it came in a, like, you know, a regular Pico box. Pico 1.0. But it has LDO on it. Wow, this is a heavy printer. Oh my god. Have you seen that? Have you seen that in any like V0 builds or something? I'm just wondering why. It's cool, but why? That doesn't make any sense. Ran it for V0 kits? Interesting, so one of them randomly made it into like their retail packaging. Or, I don't know. But it's cool, we get LDO, an LDO Pico board. Steve should try out that weird extruder. This one? This thing? No, definitely not. It's too weird. Actually, it's really small. Is this thing like smaller than normal extruders? It feels tiny. I don't know why. Did you scan the mark left of the LDO? Scan it? What? Scan? What? Marking on the control board? That's the LDO logo. And Digital Dragon, welcome in. The heck do we have a Steve Builds raid? Yeah, it's funny. It's just the LDO logo. I need a new emote for that. What are they doing? Oh yeah. We should now be connected to the network. Let me see if it pops up in my config. Hey, there's some LDO goodness. You ordered 2 of the boards and 1 showed up as LDO. Really? Huh. Interesting. I messaged Jason, I'm just curious. I'm wondering if it must be like the same board. Remember, I've had quality control issues on the Pico boards and I've avoided them like the plague. But I'm genuinely curious if the LDO boards have anything different to do with them besides just a label. What's going on here? I lost my stream. Grace, thank you for your Prime. Thank you so much. I'll keep slowly increasing that alert noise. We're trying out the new Twitch alerts. And I want to try Hype Train out because I want to see how that that works out. I think it'd be pretty cool. All right, Unify. Drag it over here for now. Okay, client devices, Wi-Fi. Did they make too many heat sinks? Maybe they did. Yeah. And we named it Dornbelta. There it is. It's Homey, Homey vendor. Homey. Oh, it's your first time in here, Bryce. All right, welcome in. Homey, is that really? Is that correct? Homey? Homey Atham? Okay. Wi-Fi 4 101. It signed itself 101? Really? Is that true? Is it really port 101? Or wait, how do I see what IP these are? Oh yeah, well, there it is. 101. Really? 101? I thought 101 was taken. Huh. Well, would you look at that? Yeah, that works. Doron Delta. Cool. We're in. Great. Probably a good time to start our adventure then. Just gotta unplug this. Cool. So it works. Cool. So what do we need to do? Oh, yeah, the end stops. Well, we're doing some crimping today. Yeah! Yeah, actually, I saw your print of the Wally, and I didn't realize what an awesome model that is. It is so cool. I had to print it like immediately, and I like it. It's cool. My kid likes it too. He's like, "Oh, that's a robot." He loves robot things. I gotta make him some more robot stuff. You're off. All right. Have a good night. So, in a minute here, we'll start the recording for potential YouTube upload. Let's just go through a list of things that I have to do. I have my end stops that I can hopefully wire screw in easily. I forgot about them, so yeah, we have to get those in there. Actually, how hard is it to wire that up in there? I have no idea. Probably should have done that before the motors, but can we just kind of... Oh dear. Oh, it's kind of jank, but yeah, we can... Let's just do this now. He's really cute. Chelsea's had it forever. Yeah, that's the cool thing about model designers. People that have been designing for a long time, they have a lot of models, right? Like, I bet half of you don't know about Swatch Truck. And Swatch Truck was such a big thing when it was out. It was huge. Everyone was printing Swatch Trucks. It was the big deal. It was featured on Joel Telling. Joel Telling, out of all people, right? Oh god. This wiring is not ideal. It goes like right through the belt. Huh? I don't want to undo anything. YOLO? Sure, why not? Yeah, let's just slide these up here first before we get too far. But I forgot about the end stops, and we'll add them in. So we gotta do end stops. We have to actually crimp on the JST connectors. I'll have to figure out the pinout for that board, because I believe these are all 3-pin. Wow, this thing's taller than I am. Yeah, those are all 3 pins. I always forget which 2 pins you need to wire up end stops with. I mean, all the pins really, but... Door and Velta, it is coming along. We will hopefully home it today. We will home it today, if all goes well. That is the goal. Oh, I need fasteners for this. Where's my screw unit? M2x10? Is that correct? M2x10? Yes, perfect. Voron Delta. You know, you can call it anything, honestly. ADC error? ADC error? What? Ooh, looks like we're almost halfway to the goal of getting marbles on stream. Change the extruder on your Rook 2020 scalable to drag inverter with orbiter V2. Good decision. Good decision. Have a good night, Clownhammer. I did catch a bit of Steve's stream today, and someone in chat mentioned that Zoll now has a update that allegedly replaces the little mini heat sets that are a nightmare to use and just strip right out to M3s. I'm not sure why it wasn't in the first place. I'm not going to get into that, but if that's the case, maybe that could be reconsidered for the future. But for now, Dragon Burner is so easy to build and it has perfectly good cooling. I'm not really sure why you'd go with Zol, but you know, it is what it is. And then there's that new one that Dyneck posted in my Discord, which looks kind of interesting too. It's kind of like a modified Mantis. So end stops we still have to do. We gotta wire up the bed. We don't need to do that yet, but we have the bed to wire up. Grab it. We have to configure Clipper, which actually shouldn't be that hard because it's already there. End stops. Pretty much the end stops. Once we do the end stops, we can get this thing homed. Because I can just comment out the extruder in bed, so it doesn't think there is one, and then run with it. So, without further ado, let's get this video started. As always, I will do the filament drawing after the YouTube recording. So if anyone's asking for a giveaway, it's done after the recording. Do all of your printers each have a different quirk? Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started. So we're gonna do a YouTube recording. I'm gonna end it, and then we're gonna go and do the after party. So, good luck, everyone. Good luck. Good luck? Good luck. Good luck listening to me for the next hour or so. I feel like you need luck. Recording? Hello and welcome to another episode of Hedgehog Makes. My name is Austin, aka Zombie Hedgehog, and today we are going to kind of do some final touches on the door on Velta. It is almost all the way wired. The goal of today's stream, which I am recording live on Twitch, is to home the printer. So previously, I put together the frame, started putting together some of the motion system, and then between streams, I've gone and added belts. So now this thing is fully belted. I have the power supply wired up and working, and I'm about to install the control board and Pi. I also already flashed, I used the Big Tree Tech image on this, but more on that later. So welcome on in if this is your first time watching this series. Make sure to check that video description. I'll have links to part 1 and 2 of this. And if you're not already, make sure to subscribe and like the video. I am streaming this live on Twitch, so if you want to catch these live, make sure to check me out on Twitch. Wow, so where do I start? I made up some end stops for this, and that's going to be the first priority, is getting end stops installed. So for the end stops, we're just using very basic, very basic end stops. I purchased these from West 3D. Oh, I don't know if I should have the arm. Should I leave the arm on there or take it off? And good night if you're watching this live and have to go to bed. Have a good night. So arm on or off? I'm guessing on, but I've also heard that that could give some variance, some extra variance in the homing position. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. It looks like it's gonna hit this hard plastic, or a hard flat part on top, so it shouldn't matter if it's on the smooth or the non-arm part. So that's what we're gonna start off with right now, and then we'll talk about this build as I do some crimping. So for end stops, oh, we need a 3-pin. Shoot. Of course, I'm already needing to get stuff. 3-pin JST. This is still being self-sourced. I am I have self-sourced every component up here. I've reused some of my own components as well. Motors, extrusions. And I bought a lot of stuff off of AliExpress and West 3D. That is the main kind of source for this. And some other places, like the bed was from Mandela Roseworks. So let's see. I need to grab 3-pin connectors. So there's 2 types of end stop connectors. There is a passive end stop, which has 2 pins, and there is an active end stop. I'm just making those terms up. But the passive end stop is just voltage and signal, I believe. It's, or signal and ground. I think it's voltage and signal. That would make sense. But the 3-pin adds the ability for a permanent power. So that'll give you LED, for example. So anytime you have an end stop that lights up, it's a 3-pin. So I'm only using 2-pin connectors, so I'm gonna have to reference the pinout for this SKR mini board, not mini, Pico, SKR Pico, and check out which pins I have to wire up for the 5 volts and signal. I'm guessing it's 5 volts, I'm not sure. Not sure, let's see. So let me jump over to the browser, and this is the manual. Features, good looking. I mean, it's not bad looking, it's pretty good looking. Pretty cool. Type C. These are cute little boards. And if you get a good one, they work really good. Is it ground and signal? That's what I can never remember. Never remember. Let's see. Yeah, because you'd use a pull-up resistor on it. Right, okay. That sounds right. Is this the whole thing? Oh, UART. That's how you connect it via UART. Oh, that's what the jumper in the box is for. UART. Gotcha. I'll be using USB. Simpler. Ground and signal. Okay, perfect. Thank you for the correction. It's been a long time since I've wired up. Wait, where's their pinout? Excuse me, what? Did I miss it? Oh, we need to flash it too. Excuse me, what? Hardware? Oh, hardware. That's right. They have a whole... Oh, there it is. Okay, so we have THB, TH0, X end stop, Y end stop, and Z end stop. Something kind of unique about a Delta is that there's 3 end stops, or there can be. So this printer is using 3 end stops. It homes each one of the arms at the top. So we have X, Y, and Z. I don't know which one is which. That's a great question. So we have the Doron Velta firmware. Stepper X has a end stop pin of GPIO4. Okay. So GPIO4 is... Oh, IO4, okay. Is the X end stop. So X is... A is X. B is 25. which is Z. Okay. So that corresponds to where it's connected on the... Oh, that's better. Where it's connected on the board. So it's going to go X for A, B for B to Z, and then C to Y. It's a little bit confusing. I'm not going to lie. I'll go over how it's connected in a second, but where we're interested in is, I believe, ground and signal. Does that sound right? Ground and signal? So I'll connect it to the pin and ground. So if I'm looking at the little connector, it's on this side and that side. For all of them. So I can just make up all these right now and then plug them in, figure out which one's which. Yes, okay, good. So I'm just using a little kit that has some JST XHs, and these are 3-pin. So I'm gonna do that. If you would like to see a dedicated video explaining how I crimp stuff, now I do stuff my way, other people will do stuff their way, and my way might not be perfect. So I will tell you that I built many printers and I have made mistakes, for sure, 100%. But if you would like a video where I go over what tools I use for crimping, how I crimp stuff, the process, let me know in the video description. I would be in the comments. I'd be very interested to hear your feedback on that. So everywhere from stripping to what wires you use for what, because there's a lot about wiring. How much to like strip back your wires? Should you tin your wires before you crimp them? All that stuff. I was trying to do most of the wiring off stream because as much as people want to see it done on stream, it does take up a lot of time. And it's kind of just, once you understand how to crimp stuff, I can just say, hey, I crimped this thing here. So I feel like the whole process of crimping is its own dedicated thing that's easier to refer you, instead of talking about it every single build. In my opinion, it's still definitely a necessary step. Stripping 101, pretty much. It's a necessary step of building a printer, unless you have something like an LDO kit where you don't have to touch any crimpers. But if you're doing a custom printer like this, yeah, it's very useful to have crimping knowledge. So if I'm on the board, what I like to do, I'll even show you this. This is my method for crimping stuff if I am going off of a random port assignment. So here's the top of my printer with the board. Let's move it over. So I take my little connector and I physically plug it into the port, or at least a little bit. I get it started. So it's plugged in. I can see that's plugged in. Then I go over to the pinout diagram and I physically look at the board. So you got to kind of mentally translate this to that. And if I'm looking at this, it goes IO4, ground, and then 5 volts. And if I'm looking at the top here, it goes, let's go in order. Oops, I said the top. It goes IO, ground, and then 5 volts. So what I like to do is take my connector, and for end stops, it doesn't really matter which way you put it in, but I will physically start to put it in, right? And I'll take it out. And make sure that I'm plugging in the right thing to the right port. So double, triple, quadruple check that you have the right thing in the right slot. Welcome in, Jano. How are you doing today? Jano, Big Jano is a awesome streamer over here on Twitch. I can still see chat. Just you guys are talking about potatoes and stuff, so I'm not reading it. So there we go. Now I have this one thing crimped and ready to go. So I'm going to repeat the process on the next ones. Now that I know how these are done, I can just do the rest of them. So that's my technique for figuring out how to connect stuff. Because more times than not, I've inverted it, right? Because you can easily look at a connector, but which way does it go? Physically plug it in, look at the pinout. That is the best method, hands down, for verifying that you're, connecting stuff the right way. I guess as I do this, we'll talk about some tips. Wiring. There's two main types of wiring as far as I'm concerned. There's the really thick insulated, what do you call that? The really thick, okay, we'll just do these two things, thick and thin insulation. This cable right here is really thick insulation, meaning that the whatever material surrounding the wire is thick. Whereas some other wiring, like this right here, oh yeah, this is from the bed. This right here, this is thin wiring, meaning that there's very little insulation around a conductor. The biggest difference when it comes to crimping is I have to go up a size in my crimper when I'm using the thicker jacketed conductors versus the thin conductors. They still work fine, it'll still crimp, but that's something kind of important to note. Sometimes I'll even take it and I'll recrimp it on the next smaller slot. Yes, the jacket. Trying to remember the word in my head. But live streaming and remembering things for me never goes well. So yeah, just keep that in mind, that you'll have to change how you crimp depending on the size of the jacket, the insulation. So we have two of these done. Just going to sanity check, make sure that these are both the same because they're both end stops. Great. And then let's do the last one, which is around here somewhere. Right here. Perfect. So this part right here, I did need to solder. I do believe somewhere in the world you can buy pre-soldered end stops. I know that was a subject when the Rook kits were being developed, making sure that the end stop was, pre-soldered, because it's literally just an end stop. It's not a special board. It's a bare end stop, because the nature of the Rook was use what you have, and everyone has a random end stop. You pull it off the board, you cut it, and then you physically install it and solder to it. Not ideal, but it works. And this build, again, not really relying on custom or specific end stops, uses just bare plain, a bare plain switch that you get to solder to. So, luckily, crimping JST XHs, by far the easiest thing to crimp. They are super easy. The connectors are so easy to use. I would take this over a Molex any day of the week. For me, Molex is it's hard to crimp, harder to crimp, and it's harder to insert correctly. So if I can help it, I love JST XHs. All right, so I have all three of these up, and I might as well plug them in while I'm at it. So let's orient this so you're looking at the front. This is the front of the printer right here, okay? The way that most Voron printers count their their label, their steppers, is it starts in the left front corner and works counterclockwise. I'm not sure why, but that's just how it is. So on a 2.4, it goes Z0, 1, 2, and 3 in a counterclockwise motion. On a Trident, it's Z0, 1, and 2. On a Delta, it's slightly different. There is no Z1, 2, 3. There is steppers A, B, and C. So, same methodology. This should be our stepper A in the front left corner. Then counterclockwise towards the back, we have stepper B. And then back to the front, we have stepper C. So, A, B, C. That's how I have it wired. Hopefully that's correct. But that's my understanding of it. So I'm going to start with the end stop that I just made up for A. So the A motor is connected to the, I'm going to refer to my little cheat sheet over here. The A motor is connected to the X labeled stuff. So this is going to go into our X over here, X stop. Then next we have the rear motor, which is connected to the Z. So that's going to go to the Z end stop. And then lastly, we have this motor, or this end stop, which is going to be hooked up to the Y end stop. Now, this is a very weird system. Deltas are weird, in my opinion. They're very strange. The fact that all three of these motors work at the same exact time to do motion, including up and down, it's very strange. It's very strange. Compared to a Voron 2.4, which has 6 motors to do the same thing. This has 3. Think about that. Crazy, huh? If you were to take those 6 motors and put all-wheel drive setups on the bottom, it could be a lot of fun. If this is any good, I kind of want to build a bigger version that's a really strong and beefy frame that's all-wheel drive. Wouldn't that be cool? Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a much bigger custom Delta build. Are Deltas back? Do we want to build a Sunlu, what is it, S1, but Doran style? Why? Why not? I don't know. Deltas are cool. They're cool looking. Not the most practical in my opinion, but it does have a fixed bed. I don't know, we'll see. I keep talking about this thing, but let's actually use it. So what's next? We have the end stops wired. We have to screw them in. I'm using these M2x10 self-tapping screws from one of my kits. This does require a little screwdriver. It's actually from a LDO kit, which is super nice. I'm going to tilt this on its side. I can't really show you what I'm doing, unfortunately, but I can talk you through it. Waiting to see footage of FL Sun S1 T1. So fun fact, the reason why and by the way, should I rip off these metal pins or leave them on for the end stops? I guess I could do it after, but let me know what you've done. Haven't printed anything on it. I'm not expecting perfection with this. I want this to be a fun printer. That is the goal. Actually, I need to just gotta leave them on. Okay, I'll leave them on. I could tilt it upside down. Actually, maybe I can show you what I'm doing. Maybe. What was I saying? I don't even remember. Delta, what was I saying? I got myself sidetracked. Oh, the S1 T1. I built this printer instead of getting a T1. I think the T1 is going to be a cool machine once it's released. But yeah, I haven't seen any testing on it. I think they're doing closed beta testing right now, which it's its own topic. But there we go. That'll work. But once it comes out, you know, we'll definitely take a look at it on stream, but I don't think I'm going to run it and buy one. The only reason why I wanted one is to kind of watch the Delta kinematics. You know, it's fun. I don't see a crazy practical use for a Delta unless you print round things. If you print round things that are kind of tall, Deltas are for you. If not, then just build a standard Core XY, build a Trident. That's kind of the default, right? Like, you can build one of these printers or just build a Trident. Ooh, I gotta be careful not to screw these in too much. Okay. We still got clicky motion, good. Okay, so that clicks. Go. Perfect. I'm gonna move this down. Oh, I'm not even showing you what I'm doing. Duh. I screw this in right here. And if I move it down, it does click. So make sure it clicks. I'm just gonna rotate this around and do the next one. Uh-oh, I lost it. Where'd it go? Hold on. Hold. Oh, it came way out. Oh, interesting. So it must be able to go back in then. Oh dear. Clicky probe and end stops? Yes, so the clicky probe, I think theoretically you could probably do like a Z-tilt or something, but the clicky probe is going to be just for leveling. So running a bed mesh. And that'll account for any... Oh dear, I shouldn't have pulled this through. Now I'm kind of struggling. Give me a second while I fiddle with this. Deltas for print very nice square things. Yeah, Delta kinematics are weird. It's not like traditional Core XY, and you have to think about it different. The way that I understand Deltas is if you print in the center of the bed, you get very high resolution printing, fast and high resolution. But if you print on the edge of the bed, towards the outer, you get lower resolution and slower printing. Oh, there it is. Push it up, push it up. Like playing, trying to fish it through and grab it. Be careful if you're mounting these end stops, not to drop them through. And we got it. Ooh. That's how your Super Racer is. Has an attachable clicky probe. Oh, really? Is that stock? Is that a stock design, or did you add that? Let's see, go back to here. Stock? Oh, cool. Yes, and this is also a magnetic probe because it's only used when you do a bed mesh, and theoretically speaking, you'll only need to do a bed mesh once, or just occasionally, right? But yeah, theoretically, just kind of once. I would plan on using the same PEI sheet. I'm not even showing what I'm doing. Where am I? Right here, there we go. Get right in frame. I'm gonna plan on using the same bed. I only have one circular bed anyway. So I plan on using one. So the Z offset should be the same because we're always homing at the top. Think of this as like an upside down rook. A rook generally homes at the bottom, but this has the benefit of having a probe. I guess you could do a Z offset. No, you wouldn't really want to do that, would you? I will say it'll be interesting to see what people come up with for this printer. Big Tree Tech Micro Probe, I think would be perfect for this. If someone can design a mount for the Big Tree Tech Micro Probe, it's a tiny little BL Touch style probe that's made its way into a lot of these small form factor printers. I'm gonna try to put one on my Rook 2020 when I have that up and running. That's kind of how small it is. But a probe like that will give you homing. So I don't know. It's nice to be able to just swap out PEI sheets without having to completely redo the Z offset. That's something that I kind of forgot about in the V0, the fact that it doesn't have a probe. And that's why the people install the little servo docks. Delta kind of requires a probe, even manually attached one. It needs to probe the bed to do the calibration. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it has to do the Delta calibration. I forgot about that. We're going to be learning a lot of stuff on this, won't we? So these kind of screw in at an angle. Not a lot of room to work around with here. Kind of wish this was easier. Maybe if I would have installed it earlier, but not really. All right, let's just make sure this works. Yeah, not ideal. I feel like this needs to be angled up a little. I can't really do that, can I? Try that. That feels fine. This one feels fine, and this one feels fine. All right, cool. So all three of these work. I would say they, you bent them up, okay. They seem to work. Welcome to the old place to my stream. How are you doing? I think that's it. Oh, if you want to see my wiring, my to be improved wiring. This is what we're at currently. We have the little mini UHP power supply. I got to change out some of these pins right here for the insulated ones, but this will work for now. So we have our inlet right here going over to the power supply. Eventually I'll have to jumper off the power supply to the relay. Wait. Yeah, the power supply will go to the relay and the bed to create a loop. I'll have to wire that in. And then this is the bed thermistor. I already have the wire going to the relay for future use. And then 24 volts connects right to the power supply and then goes up. I'm gonna put this on before I forget. So this lives in the basement. And then on the top, oops, got some filament over here. On the top, we have the control board. So it's kind of an interesting layout. The fact that the electronics are in the top and the bottom. Kind of cool. So speaking of cool, I think we're ready to do some Clipper stuff. What do you guys think? Clipper? Is it time for Clipper? So this board right here is using the Big Tree Tech SKR Pico, which is a little mini board designed to be used on a V0, so it's tiny. And also, it's designed to run the Big Tree Tech Pi, or a regular Pi, but this came out after. So this is what we're running. Big Tree Tech Pi. This is version 1. I haven't gotten the V2 in yet. But the cool thing is, you see these two ports right here? That's right. It powers up with 24 volts. No need for a dedicated 5-volt power supply. It just uses 24 volts. And this is amazing for running Clipper. So if you're running a dedicated, a standalone control board, and you need a random Pi to use Clipper, I would strongly recommend considering one of these Big Tree Tech boards. How's it going, Maker Viking? 24 volts and all of the, whoops, wrong side again. They all go through like this channel in the side here. So there's 3 channels that you can put wires through. And I have power coming out here, and I have signal wires going through there. It's pretty cool. Not ideal for running wires, but it works. it works. I should also mention before I go any further that this is version 19 of the beta. Things are likely to change, and I've also built it an extra 50 millimeters tall from stock. So if it looks kind of tall, that's because I made it a little bit taller. So we can get around 200 millimeters max on the Z. Looking at buying another printer. Oh boy, well, the one I'm currently recommending after the recall has been fully sorted out is the Bamboo Labs A1. Seems like a good machine. If the A1 is no longer a good machine, write that down in the comments. Let me know what's better than an A1, because damn, that looks like a pretty solid printer. So, looks like, okay, so on this board right here, this little jumper, a red jumper, I'm gonna take it out, read the instructions, but I'm not powering this off a USB, so I don't need that jumper. And I think for now, we're just gonna plug it into the top here and power it off of the printer. I think that's gonna be our best case. So for this instant, I'm not going to physically screw it in case I need to access this board. I might need to do that for flashing. I'm not sure what the flashing process is for the SKR Pico. But I do need to wire it up. I've already confirmed that we get power to the board up here. So now I need to run a wire. This is not recommended. If you can, run another cable right up from your power supply. But because I've already run this, I'm gonna kind of jumper off of the existing slot right here. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. Where's my wire? Over here. Welcome in, Epic Man. P1S next for you. A1 over P1S, or is that just in the price range? So, ooh, I don't know. Personally, I love my P1S. I don't think there's a use for the P1P at this point. That's kind of an obsolete printer. But if you're printing ABS, it's super useful to have the P1S. Super, super useful. So you can print ABS on it. If you're building a Voron, pick up P1S and then print all your parts on it. SVO8. Yeah, I'm testing my SVO8 right now, and I do have a beta profile at this time of recording on my Patreon. In the future, I'll have a full release with, at least at the time that I uploaded it, I'm uploading I'm calling them zombie tuned profiles. So if there is a popular printer that I can actually recommend, I'll be uploading a special profile for both Orca Slicer and, if possible, the firmware on Clipper, so Clipper firmware. Any updates I've done, any macros I've changed. So check out my Patreon at patreon.com/hedgehogmakes, and you'll see all of those in there. In the future, I might have a better way of organizing them, but for now, that seems to be working out well, and I've gotten some very positive reception on the profiles, so I think they're doing pretty good. You consider the 5M Pro? Yes, the 5M Pro is amazing. I've gotten some very, very good prints off of it. Almost better than the Bamboo at times. So those are kind of the printers that I'm looking at this time. Man, I can't wait for the future. There's gonna be more printers that just work. That is my kind of threshold right now. I will review a printer if it just works. If I don't have to make all these changes to. Because there's a lot of printers now that some of them just kind of miss the mark, right? And that's why you might still want to build a custom printer. You build this one if you want to have fun, but honestly, if you want to get the best performance for your money, it's not always going to be from a custom printer. In my opinion, the whole point of buying a custom printer nowadays is for personalization. You know, if you want a printer to work exactly how you want it, like for example, if you want to run the 8-track MMU system, you'll want to build a custom printer for that. And you can't just, you know, buy a printer with that functionality. All right, right now I'm just trying to figure out how to get two wires into one port. Just gonna kind of twist them together. Maybe that'll help. Again, ideally, you would have a dedicated like breakout for this, but I just want to get this powered up for now, so we'll just do this. So note to future user, if you are running a Big Tree Tech Pi with this, and you need that extra 24 volts, run a second set of wires for the 24 volt power. Or use some type of splitter at the top, but you know, Knight initially developed it with an Ender 3 Nanovoran. The 8-track system? Really? That's very interesting. If that's the case. The K1s, I've had a very bad experience with my K1C. I have a YouTube video explaining why. Still seems like it would be a decent printer if I got a good one, but my experience personally was not great. So at the time, I'm not recommending K1s until I can kind of see some more. I like to have printers in my, in my possession to do a full evaluation on. I've looked at too much stuff on the internet before thinking, oh, that looks great. But then you get it in and you actually touch it and you realize, oh, that's not quite what I was expecting. Yeah, that's happening a little bit too much with printers now. So in order to just make sure that I'm recommending stuff that I would actually use, I'm sort of holding off on printer recommendations unless there's A, a lot of evidence online, or B, I've used it personally. But if you want other recommendations, there are plenty of other YouTubers on the internet, content creators that have probably used that printer and can tell you all about it. All right, so I made my little jumpers, which I wouldn't really recommend doing, but I did it anyway. Per typical streaming. Your buddy Dynac, thank you for gifting a sub on my channel. And went to Krusty, awesome. Thank you very much. Why is this not labeled? Why, okay, it is. 24 volts, 12 volts in. I'm guessing also 24 volts. So this side right here is our hot, I'm guessing. Plug that in. I can't wait for the new studio because I'm gonna have many more camera angles. We'll have a camera angle for everything. So you can see all around what I'm doing. Maybe I'll just record in 360. All right, so I have that powered up right here. So now we can do our first test to see if we can power this Pi, Big Tree Tech Pi, off of this 24 volt contraption. Actually, it goes around like that. So I'm just gonna rest this on right here. And just for sanity's sake, I am going to screw in one of these screws, just one. Just to make sure that it doesn't accidentally fall over and then short something. I'll be completely honest, I don't know how you're supposed to connect these two boards together. I just used a random standoff that I had, but this board mounts with M2 or 2.5s, so whatever I'm doing is definitely not correct, but I'm doing it anyway.